Hi, my name is Courtney, and I'm very passionate about helping women with invisible illnesses realize that you can still lead a pretty healthy and active lifestyle. It's just not going to be the one you had envisioned for yourself, but what the hell else are you going to do? So, it really wasn't what I planned on talking about today, but I got to tell you guys, sometimes when I'm flaring, often when I'm flaring, I just get into these horrible. I don't want to say it's really a bad mood because I'm not mean to anybody else, but man, the shit that I turn inward is just it's brutal because this stuff is hard to deal with. The emotional impact of chronic pain cannot people just don't get it. But it erodes your soul. I know it sounds really melodramatic, but anybody watching who has chronic pain knows what I'm talking about. So, how do you deal with it? Because I am pretty good for the most part. I have my moments, but for the most part, I've gotten pretty good about dealing with this. So, today's information, by the way, is pretty much all mine, although I do have a little from Psychology Today. And according to Psychology Today, there's about 100 million Americans who suffer from chronic pain. Now, at least when I looked this up a while back, there were no hard statistics regarding suicide. I'm going to go off on a little side rant here. Why in the hell do we have to censor words like suicide? I'm never going to do that. I don't care if it costs me traffic. I just self deletion to me is so ridiculous, and I don't need big tech with their boot on my throat telling me what. And for God's sakes, that shouldn't bother anybody. Anyway, rant over. That just drives me absolutely freaking crazy. But the suicide rate is believed to be twice as high amongst the chronic illness community, which, yeah, I mean, I don't condone it, but I get it. I spent a lot of years, frankly, pretty suicidal because I couldn't see any hope in my future. And that's not a good place to be. What people don't understand from the outside, I don't like to say that my body, I used to always say that my body betrayed me, but you know what? Your body didn't betray you. Your body's trying really hard to tell you something. Most of us don't listen until it becomes a big problem. But what the hell was my point? It's a rough day, y'all. It's been a rough week. Well, it's been rough for longer than that, but it's been a particularly rough week. I don't know why. Well, I do. There's a multitude of stressors going on in my life, but I do a lot of these healthy habits to cope. It is not working so well because things are hard. Look, when when your entire day is spent walking a tightrope because I'm already flared, anything that I do that my body decides it doesn't like, it's going to cascade. And this is such a huge problem. And it sucks. I remember when I was first diagnosed, I was talking to a doctor and I was being really pissy. And I said, this is bullshit. I have no pain tolerance and it's so frustrating. And he laughed at me and he said, actually, you have an incredible pain tolerance. You're just maxed out all the time. So anything, my whole life is a game of the straw that broke the camel's back. You want a clean bathroom? Excellent. You can pay for it. And I don't mean monetarily, which actually is a good point. I probably should hire a maid. I mean, truly, not out of a frivolous thing, but if I really scour my bathroom, even if I feel fantastic when I walk through that door, I don't have a big bathroom. But that kind of activity with the fibromyalgia and the Hashimoto's, because it has really similar symptoms, that can lay me up for the rest of the weekend. Think how insane it is to live your life like that. So of course there's a great emotional toll. And what you guys don't understand is it's just always there. I mean, certainly I have my better days, but a good day, the ubiquitous they, as I like to say, they say a good day for me is like you having the flu body aches. Well, how productive were you the last time you had the flu? Probably not very. And the best way I've ever heard a flare described, and people will either understand this or they won't. If you've never had a migraine, this is going to be pointless to you because Well, because you just won't have any basis for understanding. But a flare is a full body migraine. Literally everything hurt. The pressure of my clothes against my skin is uncomfortable. That's why I wear leggings all the time. It's as close as I can come to wearing pajamas, or as close as I will come to wearing pajamas out of the house. I can take a pair of leggings if I have to go to the office. I can wear a really nice blouse and some beautiful shoes and dress them up. Or I can throw on a pair of sandals and a t-shirt and a ball cap and call it a day. I have to be comfortable. Anything restrictive makes me crazy. I get light sensitive. Everybody laughs at me because I'm kind of a vampire. I like to be out in the sunshine, but when I'm inside, I want it dim. It's just more comfortable for me. I get super sound sensitive and smell sensitive. But what do? You got to live your life. So you suck it up. So here's how I deal with all this shit, because it is a bunch of shit. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You need to find positive influences. Now, when I first started looking for positive influences, I didn't really have any in my life because I used to be very depressed, very negative. Positive people don't hang out with somebody like that. So I went online. I found mentors from afar. I found people who, well, initially I didn't really judge anything other than, oh my gosh, are you giving me a message that I need to hear right now? I didn't judge, or I wasn't forward thinking enough. Are we moving in the same direction? I just needed something positive. But find positive influences. There's so many, you don't have to spend a dime. Go on whatever podcast platform you like. There's so many great podcasts out there. Chalene Johnson does good podcasts. Stephanie Lynn Coaching, she has a great YouTube as well. Brendan Burchard. Is John Maxwell? I don't think John Maxwell has a podcast, but if you can find his stuff, he's really good. Jen Sincero writes good books. Brendan Burchard's books are good. John Maxwell has good books. But find something positive. And it really works for me lately? The Bible. In fact, this morning I'm up to here. I'm fed up. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, but it doesn't matter. But this morning I really felt myself starting to get into a spiral. And one of my friends reminded me, you just got to do what you got to do. And I said, you're right. So I didn't grab my Bible. I have an app called Hallow, and I'm listening to the Bible in a year on that app. So I put on a track and just quieted my mind and got lost in scripture, because that makes me happy. But there's so many different authors out there. Find somebody that resonates with you. You need some positivity in your life when you're immersed in this crap. You just do. If you would take 10 or 15 minutes every single day, and morning is best, but whenever you fit it in, put something positive into your mind, you'll be amazed at what a difference that's going to make in your overall perspective. That is how I went from being severely depressed to being someone who usually deals with all of this with a pretty good attitude. You're going to have to develop healthy habits. You just do. Nutrition matters. The more crap you eat, the more you're going to have anxiety. You're going to feel worse. When you feel worse physically, you feel worse mentally. You need to exercise. I know. And when you're sick, when you're not feeling good, you don't want to hear that. But you know what? I exercise. I have a hard time taking rest days, truly, because I love what I do for exercise. It makes me incredibly happy. And for me, I have a huge bonus where when I dance, everything, all the pain, it's not that it goes away. It's not that all my stress goes away, but it just fades into the background. And that is such a gift. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen for you, but I will tell you one thing. The number of women with fibromyalgia who I have convinced to start exercising is unfortunately a small one, but every single one of them has come back to me and said, oh my gosh, you were right. This made all the difference. Well, I know. I know it does. I know it will, because I've been there. You guys, it wasn't, well, I guess now it was all that long ago. It was more than 10 years ago. But at one point, I couldn't do 10 minutes on a Wii Fit. That's a children's toy. How crazy is that to be that unhealthy? But that's where I was. I went on to teach group fitness. I taught cardio kickboxing for a little bit, which had been a huge goal for me. And it was funny because it was one of those goals. It was one of the first goals I'd ever really set, and like intentionally, I'm going to work towards this. And I didn't really consider what would this look like when I got there. And I'll be honest, I didn't enjoy it very much, but it did it. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and teach group fitness. I'm not telling you to get up and do insanity, but I'm telling you, get on, get online, look up some good yoga, look up some Tai Chi, just go for a walk. Going for a walk outside in the sunshine is one of the best things you can do for yourself, in my very humble opinion. But it's meditative. You'll be out in the sun, which is good for you. You're getting a little exercise, which is good for you. And, I told one lady when I first started, hey, you really should exercise. You really should exercise. I can't. I get it. I do. If all you can do today is walk to the end of your driveway, then do it. If you're too sore tomorrow, okay, I'll give you a little bit of a pass, but you sure as hell better do it the day after. What else are you going to do with yourself? Are you just going to lay around and rot? That's not a winning strategy. You're going to have to exercise. You're going to have to take control of your emotional health. And yes, I'm aware that I'm saying that as someone who just told you I'm struggling because this flare has gone on for so freaking long. Meditate. I haven't been meditating like I should. I'll own that. Journal. I have really, all of a sudden, I've journaled off and on over the years, but recently I've just really, I don't know. I don't know if it's because I journal a lot from what I'm reading in the Bible and how that speaks to me, but journaling has become a huge thing for me in the past couple of months. Make sure you practice gratitude. It's easy to get caught up at, look at fitness for me. There are so many things I wish I could do. And it would be really easy for me to get pissed off and focus on, well, I can't do this and I can't do that. But you know what? I am so grateful for what I can do. I am so grateful that I found this particular dance instructor because she's in Australia. We have gone back and forth enough on her message boards that last spring, she wrote a choreography with me in mind. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for that. I tell her all the time how much impact. Well, actually, I haven't told her in a while. So when I'm done here, I am going to go on to her Patreon and remind her how grateful I am for her. But you got to be grateful. Do you have a roof over your head? Then be grateful. Do you have running water? Do you know how many people on this planet that puts you ahead of? We have entire communities in Alaska that don't have running water. What do you think happens to you in a community with no running water and your house catches on fire? If you can't get out, there's nothing anybody could do for you except watch in horror. Not to be Debbie Downer, but you should be freaking grateful. You got electricity? You should be grateful. You really should. When I was really depressed, I say really a lot, don't I? But when I was severely depressed, my girlfriend Jennifer and I need to touch base with her again. Anyway, my girlfriend Jennifer and I used to make sure that we ended our conversations with 3 things that we were grateful for. And for a while, I was grateful to have a roof, running water, and electricity. Do I have more than that to be grateful for? Absolutely. But you know what? Those are 3 things that we take so for granted, and they're huge. Practice a little gratitude in your life. You'll be amazed. Look, when your mind is calm, your body is calm. If you can quiet your mind, your body's going to be a lot quieter. Trust me. I know of what I speak here. You need to celebrate your wins. You need to, you know what? On the high pain days, like today, the fact that I pulled myself together, that's a freaking win. Now, I'm not saying you have to be the makeup girl, but I remember, some of you've heard this. I remember when I was young watching my mom. She didn't have chronic illness, or not at that time, but she was sick. And my mama was a true Southern lady. She was putting on her makeup, and I was like, oh my gosh, why? Why are you doing that? If you don't feel good, why would you bother? And she just laughed and said, it makes me feel better. I get that now. Now, I don't do it just, like if I have the flu, but yeah, most days I put on my makeup, not because it's a vanity thing, but because it's a sense of normalcy for me. When I can manage on a high pain day to get my face on and pull myself together, that's a win. If You get out of bed and brush your teeth, that's a win. When you're up to your freaking eyeballs in pain and you don't see a lot to look forward to, you have got to anchor yourself on the tiny little wins. Did you brush your teeth? You know what? That's a win. And I'll tell you why that's a win, because there are lots of people who, for whatever reason, choose not to. I'm not saying they don't have the ability, I'm saying they make that choice. So please don't make that choice. But if you brushed your teeth, you're ahead of those people. That's a win. Write that shit down at the end of the day. Because when you get so wrapped up in the pain, you know your emotions go crazy. You have to anchor yourself in positive stuff. And look, if you're not going to celebrate yourself when the shit's hitting the fan, who's going to celebrate you? Who's going to reach out and say, hey, you made it from the bed to the couch. That was a good job. But you know what? On some days, that is a good job. That is a win. So give yourself, I know it's easy when you're hurting to just sit there or lay there and go through the list of all the shit you should be doing and woulda, shoulda, coulda, and I wish things were different. Well, they're not. They're not different. This is what you have to deal with. So instead of sitting there beating yourself up, okay, well, it's not the best day I ever have. I made it to the couch. I got my teeth brushed. I drank enough water today. Hell, those are 3 big wins right there. You're welcome. Those are 3 easy ones. But you have to have some healthy habits. You have to learn how to let things go. Again, you can't do what you used to do. Nope, you can't. That's just the way it is. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to just sit there and feel sorry for yourself? What's the point of that? All that's going to do is make the pain worse. If you don't believe in a very heavy mind body connection, you've never had real health issues. I know for a fact when I catch myself slipping down into the darker corners of my mind, my pain levels go up. When I can pull myself into a good mood like I'm doing today, even though I wasn't there this morning at all. I was on the verge of tears most of the morning. But what good does that do me? I read my Bible, I exercised, I pulled myself together, and I got to let go of the fact that I just can't do everything I want to do. Um, you also need to really limit your exposure to negative people, because if you're dealing with this shit, you have enough problems keeping your own chin above water. You don't need negative people grabbing you and pulling you back under. Please don't be mean. There's I won't say there's never a reason to be mean, but there's rarely a reason to be ugly to somebody. So don't be mean. Just gently ease them out of your life. And if it's not somebody, maybe it's family. Maybe you can't gently ease them out of your life, then you know what? You're going to have to set boundaries. You're going to have to set boundaries with them, and you're going to have to stand behind them. And I know that's the last thing you want to do right now, because it's hard, because they don't like it when all of a sudden you start standing up for yourself, but you have to. You're the only person who is in charge of your peace. So you have to figure that aspect of it out. Finally, I'm almost done, I promise. I could obviously talk about this all day, especially on a day like this. But you need to be kind. You need to be kind to yourself. You need to be kind to others. Sometimes even when they don't deserve it, but it doesn't do you any good to fall into the negative mindset. You know that. You know that. You need to remember this too shall pass. And you know what? Even as rough as the past, gosh, it's been over a year now. So the past 15, 16 months or so have been. I still have a good attitude overall. I'm still pretty optimistic that, you know what? Okay, today is not the best day I've ever had, but maybe tomorrow will be better. That's honestly how I get through all of this. Tomorrow is another day. Things will look a little brighter in the morning. And if they don't look better tomorrow, well, there's always the day after. You have to remember you are not your diagnosis. And it can become so easy to let this shit become your identity, because so much of your life is wrapped up in it. You've got the medical appointments. You've got the prescriptions. You've probably got supplements. You've got, I'm sure, some eating protocol that you're following. You've got to make sure you get enough exercise. But if you have Hashimoto's, you can't do too much, or that's a problem, which is real fun for somebody like me who likes to exercise. Um, but you can't let that be your identity. Yes, it's a huge aspect of your life, obviously, but there's so much more to you than just your illness, than just your symptoms, than just your diagnosis. You need to embrace those parts of yourself. I know for me, when I'm dancing, and I know I mentioned this earlier, but that's when all this shit fades into the background. You need to find that for yourself. You need to find whatever it is that lets you and gives you an emotional escape. Anyway, that's a topic for another day, and I've already talked a lot longer than I intended. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will be back Monday around 11